right now, we're talking about a baseball movie that was released in 2007, and I can't believe I haven't seen it till this last week. It's called The Final Season, and it's about Coach Kent Stock, and he was at Norway, Iowa. And first of all, Kent, thanks for taking time today, and what a great movie.
Oh, Dave, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. When you reached out to me, I love hearing stories of people that watch it for the first time, and it brings a smile to their face, or they reach out and contact me. I just love it, and had a blast making the film, and would love for many more people to see it.
Real quickly, tell us how it came to be. I mean, it's a great story. I mean, Norway, Iowa's won like 19 state championships, and you came in at the last moment to help with the final season of the school as they were in existence. How did this all happen that it turned into a movie?
Well, it's a great story, Dave. It all started back in, 1985 when I graduated from college. I wanted to be a baseball coach. You know, I always had a dream of being a professional baseball player. When that dream wasn't realized, I decided I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. And so I graduated from Luther College in Decorah, Iowa, and went off to find that first teaching job. And I got offered the high school business ed teaching position, and they said they also had some coaching. How would I like to be the junior high girls volleyball coach? Well, my dream was crushed. I wanted to be a baseball coach, but my parents said, you need to take the job, make some money. And so off I went to Belle Plaine, Iowa, which was only 20 miles away from this legendary town, Norway, Iowa, a town of 586 people. At that point in time, had 18 state baseball championships, and I was scouting a volleyball match. A year later, I ended up being a varsity volleyball coach and was scouting a volleyball match, and I met the legendary Jim Vanskoy, who Powers Booth plays in the movie. And I was nervous, and I finally introduced myself to him, and we started talking, and he said he was looking for a new assistant coach. So I asked him if I could apply. I applied, and I was his assistant coach for 1 year. And during that summer, we ended up winning Norway's 19th state baseball championship, and there was a lot of talk about the state was going to step in and close down the school, and Coach Vanskoy said, it'll never happen. Powers Booth played him to a T, and that fall when I got back to Belle Plaine and was coaching volleyball, Coach Vanskoy called me. He says, Kent, it's a given. They're closing down the school. And he said he was upset about it, and he was going to be able to coach the team in their final season, but he had an opportunity to go be the Class A pitching coach for the Detroit Tigers. He said, Kent, would you take this team in their final season? So obviously, me being this young kid, I said I would love to. And I took the team, and we ended up winning Norway's 20th and final state championship. And it was about a month or two after we won that state championship, and I got a call from a movie producer. He said, Kent, I've been watching your story, and I'd like to do a movie about your story. So that was in 1991. Fast forward, we didn't film the movie until 2006.
Wow.
So there were many trials and tribulations. I never thought the movie would ever get made, but in 2006, we filmed the final season, and it was amazing.
What did you think when you got that call? Said, hey, they want to make a movie about this and me.
Well, I hung up on him at first. I thought it was some of my coaching and teaching friends from Belle Plaine that were playing a trick on me, But he persevered. He called back, and he said, Ken, I seriously want to talk to you about this. And I told him back in 1991 when he called, I said, this story isn't about me. It's not about Kent Stock. It's about the town of Norway, 586 people, 3 former Major League Baseball players, Hal Trotsky, Bruce Kim, who was the Cubs interim manager for some time, Mike Boddicker, who had a World Series ring with the Baltimore Orioles, and legendary manager Earl Weaver. So I said, it's about those people. It's not about me. And I eventually introduced him to Jim Vanskoy, and in January of 1992, we signed a contract with Tony Wilson. He really wasn't a movie producer. He was a kid from, not a kid anymore, but he was a guy from Des Moines who had a dream as a kid where I wanted to be a pro baseball player. He wanted to make movies. He went to the very first Rocky movie. He came out of that and he said, I want to make a movie. So we ended up working hard, and eventually he attached himself to some Hollywood producers and probably a director he attached himself to that everybody in the audience will know, David Mickey Evans. You may not know David by name, but he was the writer and the director of the movie Sandlot, who everybody has seen that movie. So it was neat. Once those people got on board, then things started moving fast.
You know, when I watched the movie, I basically watched it. I saw Sean Astin and Powers Booth in there. I like both of them. How did Sean Astin do as Kent Stock?
Sean did a great job. I didn't necessarily realize it during the filming. Sean showed up, a couple weeks before filming. We hung out a lot. I had him at my house, and we'd have dinner, stay up late talking. And I really felt like we were getting to be really good friends. Well, a year and a half later when the movie came out, some of my former volleyball players that I coached, they come up to me and said, Coach, Sean Astin played you exactly perfect. He had your mannerisms down. So as I think about it, maybe he wasn't befriending me as much as he was just doing his job, trying to learn how to play me.
But it's just a great movie, and when you look back on it, I ask a lot of people when they go through some of these things in real life, when they have a magical season in sports, says, who's going to play you if you have a movie about you? You actually had somebody play you. That is really cool.
It was amazing. I do motivational speaking across the country now, and I always tell people, I said, I couldn't have asked for a better person than Sean Astin to play me. The producer told me that Brad Pitt was busy, but, I'll take Sean Astin. He was amazing. But Sean is a family man. He has 3 daughters who are similar age to my daughters. He brought his wife and 3 daughters to Iowa for the filming of the movie, and truly, truly a great man. He just was genuine, nice. He was born and raised in Hollywood. His mom's Patty Duke, his dad's John Astin. So you'd think that he would have an ego, but he tells a story. He said his wife keeps him grounded. He married a farm girl from Indiana, so she keeps him grounded.
What I liked about the movie was, Kent, is the fact that it reminds me of high school baseball. I've been to a lot of high school baseball games. The lingo was right, the way they played and all that stuff. That was really authentic on how they did that. And sometimes movies lose out on that thing. Did you think that as well?
I did, and it was very important to the legendary Jim Vanskoy and me. We worked on the movie set every day, and we were hired by the company, and our charge was we were to work with all the players. And so you can imagine you have 2 coaches. We didn't, our name was on the byline or in the credits at the end as coaches. And so basically we had about 6 Hollywood actors that actually played baseball, but the rest of the players were actually college kids from Iowa, that played Division III college. And so we worked with them on a daily basis for 2 weeks leading up to the film. We would run plays. We would do just like a tryout for a pro team or something. And so it was important to us that the baseball looked good, that it looked right, and that it wasn't, like a Saved by the Bell or some type of, where it didn't really look authentic. And I think we nailed that perfectly.
I told you before we came on that I love Hoosiers. I see a lot of things with Hoosiers. They got a museum in Norway for this. They've got kids that were actually kids playing in the movie. It's just really neat. And you told me that it's probably going to come back. I happened to see it on the Madison station, but it's going to come back on Stars and Encore hopefully in the future.
Yes, it should be coming back out on Stars and Encore here in the next year or so. And it gets a lot of play. I think Stars and Encore were very impressed with their 2-year run that they had earlier, and it played all the time. But yeah, in the promotion of the movie back in 2007 when it came out on 1,100 screens, it was promoted as the baseball version of Hoosiers. So there's a lot of similarities, and Hoosiers is one of my favorite movies of all time too. So that made me feel good.
What is special about Norway? When you see what happened is that when they did close them and merge them, they haven't won a baseball championship after that. What was so special about Norway and their love for baseball?
Well, in Norway, a small town, 586 people, the high school, there was 100 kids, I believe, K-12, in the school district. And I asked Coach Vanskoy that same thing. I said, how did they get such good baseball players in Norway? And he said it was amazing. He said it wasn't about him. He said it wasn't about me. He said our kids, that's what they had to do all summer long. The older kids would come down and they'd just play baseball all the time with the younger kids. And he said so when he got them as 8th graders coming to to the high school team, 8th and ninth graders, he said they had the fundamentals down. You know, we weren't bigger, we weren't faster, we weren't stronger than anybody, but we had the fundamentals down better than any team we played. And we played our regular season. You know, we were a 1A school. We were playing the 4A, 5A schools and beating them. You know, we'd play them in doubleheaders, and we'd win both or split with them, and it was just amazing. He always said, who's going to be the next Hal Trotsky that walked out on the field, or the next Bruce Kim, or the next Mike Boddicker? And he said they always showed up every year, a new kid that would take the team, a new group of kids that would take the team to great things.
You know, when I look at, there were some facts on one of the websites that said stuff that was really happening and stuff that happened during the movie. How close was it really? Because it seemed like there was a lot of things that were really close to what really happened to you and the team.
Yeah, I would say the very first script that was written was 100% true. Nobody from Hollywood came calling. About 8 scripts later, it was about 70% true with 30% Hollywood embellishment. And that's when David Mickey Evans and some of the people like that started wanting to be attached. Sean Astin read it and said, you know, I want to be Kent Stock. And so there was some embellishment. You know, the state championship game, you know, or a game where we won 10-0 in real life, they made it as a walk-off home run. You know, they had to appeal to the audience to put a little few things in. The question that my wife gets asked all the time, she said, people ask her, I didn't know you were a school board attorney. Well, I wasn't married during that time, you know, so they had to add a love interest, which Rachel Lee Cook was perfect at portraying that, and she was a school board attorney that helped shut down Norway and ended up falling in love with Sean Astin, and so things like that they added to appeal to a wider audience.
Real quick, was there really a bad guy in Norway that on the board that wanted to do all that stuff to shut it down, or was that part of the movie as well?
No, that was 90% true.
Wow.
The except for the bad guy wasn't the superintendent. The superintendent actually was a really good guy. There was a school board member that played that role in real life, and so David Mickey Evans thought you really needed it to be the superintendent to be the antagonist versus just one board member. So they switched the roles, but yes, there was a person that was kind of the lead behind closing them down.
Before I let you go here, I got a couple questions. How has the movie changed your life? I know you're doing a lot of speaking, and I'm sure it's helped that a lot, but how has it changed your life as Kent Stock?
Well, I get asked that all the time. You know, first of all, similar to Sean Astin, people say all the time, says, you seem so humble, Kent. You're not a bragger or this and that. And I said, no, I have a wife who keeps me grounded, and I have 2 daughters that are in high school that could care less if their dad had a movie made about him. So I'm very grounded. How it has changed is that when the movie came out in 2007, I started getting asked to speak at companies, at corporations, at statewide associations, at schools, and people started asking me to come out and share my story, and it led to me leading education in 2008, and now I am a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker at events across the United States, and so it's been good. I love sharing my story, and if I can impact at least one person, it's worth it to me.
And then get a hold of you at kentstock.com. Is there any other ways they can get a hold of you too, Kent, if they want to have you come speak?
Right, if they just go to my website, www.kentstock.com, KENTSTOCK, and there's a contact button right there, and they can click and send me anything, that any email, or let me know what they think of the movie, or if they're interested in having me speak. I respond to everybody.
Yes, you do. I know you do, because you did to me. My final question, and you'll think this is a good one, Kent. My final question: how do you want to be remembered? The key line from the movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just got goosebumps when you asked me that question. With everything, how I want to be remembered, which is the tagline of the movie. How do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as a great husband, a great father, and a friend to all.
Well, Ken, thanks so much for taking time out. I'm going to be watching that movie. I'm going to keep in contact because you're just a good guy.
I would love to. And after the movie came out, I wrote a book titled "Heading for Home: My Journey from Little League to Hollywood." So we'll have to connect, and Dave, I'll send you a copy.
Hey, how can they get a hold of that? Can they go on Amazon or things like that to get a hold of that?
Yes, Amazon. The book is on Amazon, and basically it's people need to see the movie first before they read the book. I wrote the book afterwards, kind of my life story and behind the scenes view of filming a movie. So you can find it on Amazon or go to my website and contact me, and I can give people copies.
And we'll link all that stuff up on our website for this interview, so that'll help out a lot of people, too.
Excellent.
Thanks so much, Ken, for taking time. We appreciate it. And, boy, has it been fun. I can't wait to watch final season again.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
We've been talking to Ken Stock, who was featured in the movie The Final Season. Folks, you got to see it. It's the Hoosiers of Baseball. For StatelineSportsHub.com, I'm Dave Schmidt.